Hi guys, we're back in camp now. I'm going to get down to business. Today we're going to take and make a bread pudding with a vanilla sauce. We're going to do this a little bit differently because what we're going to do is when we get done, we're going to have bread pudding in the Dutch oven, but we're going to keep the center reserved, and that's where we're going to put our 8-inch Dutch oven that has our vanilla sauce. That we'll show you how to do that. So first of all, we're going to take and first we need to make sure that our oven's ready. And first we want to do is kind of sweeten the pot a little bit. So we're going to take a little bit of vinegar spray and wipe it around. And what that does is it kills any bacteria that might be in that oven, and it also takes and sweetens the pot, or gets rid of any rancid smell that it might have in there. So just a nice little trick to have. There goes that. So we keep that vinegar spray pretty handy. Next, we're going to take and throw in about a stick of butter. We're just going to take and wipe down that oven real good. And our bread pudding is going to be pretty much on the outside, and so we just want to wipe down that side of the oven really good. The center I'm not really too concerned about. So we're going to save that butter, and then we're going to use that for a little bit later. And what we're going to do is we're going to take an 8-inch cake pan, and we're going to set that right down in the center there. And that's where we'll put our 8-inch Dutch oven after it cooks. We'll put our bread pudding around the outsides of it there. So that's our plan. So we got our chimney here with our stack of charcoal that we're going to need. And I'm going to light a whole container just so I got plenty. And we only stick with the Kingsford blue, red, white, and blue bags. And the reason for that is I can usually get about an hour's worth of cooking time out of a set of coals. And so it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to get a good set of coals. What we're going to do is we're just put a little charcoal or lighter fluid around, get a little bit more on there. And because we're starting with a cold can, cold charcoal, cold lighter fluid, it's not going to take and flame up. A lot of people think that they kind of get a little scared to light that. But what happens is, if it's cold, it won't flash over. If it is a hot can that you've got some charcoal already that's been heated in there and you're just reigniting or adding some more to the pot, put that lighter fluid in there and light it, it's going to flame up, so be cautious of that. I've already cubed up my 2 loaves of French bread, so we're all set to go there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take about 8 cups of milk. And I think what we'll do is we'll mix this all in a bowl and then add it all in together. But we're going to start with 8 cups of milk, right on the money. So there's our 8 cups of milk, or 2 quarts as some people might want to call it. Next we're going to add 6 eggs. And I know in today's prices, these are precious little boogers right there. You can do them to your own liking, whatever sounds good to you. Some people don't like raisins. I like raisins, so we're going to add raisins to our bread pudding today. My wife's one that says you can't have bread pudding without raisins. I've seen where people will add some apples or some pears to them as well. So just some options and things that you can do. So there's our 4 cups of sugar. Now we're going to do about 4 tablespoons of vanilla. Go with that. Next we got a teaspoon of cardamom. And I can't tell you what cardamom is, where it comes from, how it's normally used, because I don't use it very often, but this is a recipe that does call for some cardamom. To me it kind of has a little bit of a nutmeggy type flavor to it. And then the only thing we have left to add to it now. Okay, now we got all our ingredients in there. We're going to mix that sauce together. kind of break up those eggs a little bit. You know, I run across people that sometimes will tell me that, you know, they put away their Dutch ovens because it's getting hot. It's too hot in the summertime to be cooking outside. And I tell them that's the best time to be cooking outside. So now that we've got that kind of mixed together, we're going to put on some gloves because we're going to get a little bit messy here. We're going to take that mixture and combine it there with all our bread cubes. And I made sure I had a nice big pan that we had to work with. Now this is one of the pans that we use when we do our chuck wagon cook-offs, when we're making bread and have to make a bunch for everybody. So we're just going to mix that all together. Okay, our charcoal should be about ready to where we can put it together. We're going to take this whole thing and just kind of dump it over upside down. And the purpose of that for is we can see which ones are lit and which ones still need a little juice. We probably could have waited another minute or two, but what we'll do is we'll spray a little bit of lighter fluid on those. And we were talking about how that'll flame up. Watch that. Boom. And while those are getting ready to go, we'll pull our lid off our 16 and set it aside. And there's our oven prepped where we can start putting that bread pudding around the outside. So we'll grab that, bring our bowl over and set it right there. And grab our spoon and just start piling that in there. Bit of those on there. My recipe for this size of oven calls for about 2 cups of raisins. So we'll sprinkle a few on here and then the rest we'll add to our... It's not bread pudding if it doesn't have raisins. So. Another recipe that calls for raisins that I like is on the chuck wagon. It's called Spotted Pup, real similar to this. So. Okay, we're back to it. And we'll start scooping that rest of that around there. And we try not to be too messy. I'm one of those that likes to keep as clean as possible because I'm the one that usually has to clean it up. So did an event and we let it set out here a day or two, and then all of a sudden I walked past it and I could hear this buzzing. I was like, what's going on? And sure enough, we'd had a bunch of bees that decided to build a hornet's nest or a wasp or a bee's nest, whatever you call it, in the bottom boot of our chuck box. And so I went to try and open it up and they kind of went after me. So I decided, okay, I better get this from an angle. So I took and got a stick and I opened up the latch on the box and ran. And I got stung right on the side of the nose. So I waited for a little while till they calmed down, and then I came back out. I was able to take that stick and pop that box off, or the lid, and it dropped to the ground. And I ran again, waited till they calmed down. When it came back the third time, there was a huge hive in there that they'd built already. So I decided that was too much for me, and so I called an exterminator to come and rescue them out of there and take them somewhere else. Okay, we've got our bread pudding in there, and now we're going to take and just put our lid on, and she's all set to go. You're going to take, just like in your home oven, and put about 2/3 of the heat on top and 1/3 at the bottom. And we're going to do that by taking and putting the size +3 on the top, the size -3 on the bottom. So just think of when you go up, you add, when you go down, you subtract. Just kind of like your elevation when you're in a plane. The number increases when you go up and it decreases when you go down. So maybe that'll help you to remember it. So we're going to take 16 and we're going to add 3 to that number. So we need about 19 on the top for all you mathematicians out there. And I've kind of learned from experience that you can count them, or you can just take and put them on there. And when you take and just put them side by side and go around the lid, you pretty much are going to be pretty close to that number that you're looking for. So those of you that are watching, you're probably counting to see how well I'm doing. And this recipe needs to cook at about 375, so we'll teach you how to do that. Now the placement of the coals is also important. You want to do it around the outside edge. And we're going to take 16 minus 3, so we need how many on the bottom? 13. 13, 14. So try and space those out about the same size as that oven. And you'll see that these are not completely gray. And that's important because if you wait till they turn completely gray, you've lost half your cooking time. And so what you'll wind up doing is using twice as much charcoal. So now we've got that on there. Being I know that this oven's cold, I'm going to go ahead and move this oven right over on top of those coals. And again, fold that lid over to that side. That is called a Mayer lid lifter. And the bends are nice and sharp. Billy Mayer made these, and he has since passed away and no longer in business. And so you might find these out there. If you can, they're great to have. Okay, we're back with you. We're going to take and make our cream sauce now for our bread pudding. This is a lid stand. Now you can turn it upside down like that and turn your lid upside down on it, and now you've got a griddle. You can use it to scramble some eggs. You can use it to fry some bacon. You can use it to make some cheese quesadillas and throw some jalapenos on there or green chilies. So many different things that you can use that lid for, and we'll cover that in another session as well. But I'm going to take that lid stand, I'm going to put it right on top of that oven. Normally we'd put it down on the ground and that's where we put our lid. But the last thing you want to do, and you'll see people do it, grab a hold of their lid with their lid lifter and they'll put it right down there on the ground. But they forget that that's gathering all that dirt and sticks and garbage on the bottom of that lid. And so when they put it over that food, that stuff's going to fall down inside there. So we're going to put it on there and it's going to preheat that lid. We've already got our oven preheating over here, and we're going to make our sauce. So we're going to start with 4 sticks of butter. Already it sounds delicious, doesn't it? And if you remember, we had some leftover butter from when we greased our oven, so let's go ahead and add that in there just for fun. No sense in letting that go to waste. Not too that much. We're going to take and add, I guess you want to hear me over the rattle of that paper, 2 cups of sugar. Now, this may not be all that diabetic friendly, but it sure is going to be tasty. So it's just some extra insulin. So there's our 2 cups of butter. Now we're going to add 1 cup of heavy cream. And we'll just do that right there with that sugar in that same cup measuring device. Pour that in there. And if you didn't notice, we already had this oven on a set of coals. We had about 10 or 11 coals on the bottom to get it going. Now we're going to add 1 cup of half and half. I guess we could have done all cream, but this way we mix half and half. Nice thing about it being out here in the dirt, if you drip something, you don't have to mop it up, sweep it up. My doggies will take care of that. So we've got our butter, sugar, half and half, and our cream in there. And now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of vanilla. See if we can't wash that butter off of there. That looks like pretty close to 2. Grab our trusty spoon, and we're just going to take and stir this and mix that all together and heat it up to a pretty good, almost to a boil. Let that thicken up some, and then once that's done, we'll just set that off to the side, and we'll be ready to conquer some other tasks. While we're doing this, I really don't need that 12-inch lid to get real hot. So I'm just going to set it off to the side down on top of our chimney underneath here. That will act as a lid stand. Kind of keep that out of our way. Okay, we're just keeping a gentle stir going on our vanilla cream sauce we're going to add for our bread pudding. Starting to smell pretty good out here in the outdoors. We've got a ton of different recipes that we're going to take and show over the few weeks that we are working on this new endeavor. I'm going to try and show you different methods of cooking with the Dutch ovens. There's everything, again, like I said, from a little 1-inch where you might cook 1 egg all the way up. I have a 22-inch Macca that you could probably cook 3 turkeys in. It's huge, weighs 156 pounds empty. It's quite a spectacular one. And when the food's ready in it, you serve it right from there. Okay, guys, we're ready to wrap up our bread pudding with vanilla cream sauce. So we're going to take our lid off. We're going to put on our lid stand down below. Now we can grab that pan out of the center there, and I probably should have buttered it up first before we put that in there, but we didn't do that. So we'll pull that out of there. Still got some of that creamy goodness going on down below. Set our 8-inch Dutch oven right down inside there. And then we're going to pour our cream sauce in there so we can serve it later.